Which legendary cards should you craft when you play Wild? That is a good question, because there are around 40 to 50 that you should have if you want to play most classes, most tier 1 decks. Obviously, there are more than 250, 300 legendaries, like lots of legendaries in this game. There are like 16 plus per class, and most of them are really garbage. Like, you don't need them. I'll just show you the 20 neutral ones that you should have that allow you to play most decks, as well as like 3 to 4 the most important ones per class. We're starting with the neutrals and then moving on to the classes. First off, we got the aggressive ones. We got the Patches and the Leeroy. Leeroy obviously is 20% of your opponent's health that just go face. You can play him in Odd Paladin as well as in Rogue, or in any aggressive deck ever, even in Zoo, if you want to. And Patches looks really bad. It's a 1-1. What does this one do? It has no effect, right? Thing is though, if you win the early game because you have one additional minion to make one additional trade to then snowball from then on, you win the whole game. So Patches is kind of neat if you play anything aggressive. You can play him in Token Druid, again Kingsbane, any Rogue deck, Paladin. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Next up, we got not just Thaurissan but also Loatheb. The one guy who makes combos viable and the one guy who destroys the combos. Loatheb basically means your opponent wants to play a spell, he can't. Your opponent wants to play a combo, he can't. He has to wait another turn, and the turn might be enough to just kill him. For example, if you play against Exodia Mage, and they want to go with their Exodia combo, and they're in fatigue, they're down to 1 health, well, they just die. Because they can't do anything. Priest, can't do anything. Warlock with Twisting Nether, can't do anything. Loatheb is pretty decent. Thaurissan allows you to play any combo though. Like, if you have a 2-mana card and a 9-mana card, can you play them at the same turn without a coin? You can't. He is basically the combo enabler for not just Mecha'thun and Exodia, and he's just good in general. Just period. Wonderful card. Then those 2 boys who just rotated out about a month ago. Genn and Baku, yay! They are fun. Anyway, so even Warlock, Odd, Paladin. That's pretty much it. Like, you play an even and an odd deck in those 2. You can also play even Shaman, and you need those cards, or the even and odd part is just a semi-optimal deck. You need those 2 if you want to play one of those decks. You can obviously play them in any deck, but do you want to play Odd Priest? Do you want to play even Druid? Like, probably not. You can play Odd Warrior though, and bore your opponent to death. And Baku helps doing so. Then we get the 8 drops. The Lich King and the Ragnaros. They not just have a lot of value, they are just general good cards. Like, in any deck where you would include them, probably not in hyper-aggressive decks, but in any mid-range deck, any slower deck, those cards are just good. Rag can go face, which he does very often. He sees playing even Warlock, even Shaman, even anything. Any mid-range deck if you want to play it. And Lich King, the same. He has value. You can play him in Big Priest. I mean, I don't want you to play Big Priest, but you could. And they're pretty helpful in those 2. If you have them, don't disenchant them. They're useful. Afterwards, we got the Cancer. Yay, Cancer. But yeah, like, they are good cards, okay? Like, if you play Spell Hunter, Renounce Darkness Warlock, Big Priest, whatever. You play Barnes into shaarj and it summons a 10/10. It's 4 mana. If you obviously don't draw the shaarj. Thing is though about Barnes, you can even play him in different decks. You can play him in even Shaman if you have a higher late game. And you can play him in Warlock, like I do. Imagine you have Voidcaller or Voidlord. Barnes summons a copy of that. Ragnaros, Lich King, anything. Barnes is a pretty good card. Besides that, there's nothing really you need from the Thaurissan Adventure, so Barnes might be the only thing. You don't need to buy the whole adventure. Also, cut this from Wild, please, Blizzard, thank you. Then we got those Explorer boys. Got the Reno, who is obviously most useful in Reno Mage, Warlock, and Priest. And we got Finlay. You need Finlay, kind of, if you want to play aggressive. You want to play Murloc Shaman, want to play Token Druid, want to play even Kingsbane. Like, Finlay is just helpful because you want the Hunter Hero power to deal 2 damage and go Smorg. Or you want to tap, you want to life tap to draw more cards. While Reno is usually used in only Reno Lock and or Mecha'thun Warlock, you could make him work in other classes. But he's usually only usable in those certain. Then we got the 6 drops. They are both nice, but not necessarily needed. So if you have them, keep them. If you don't have them, you don't need to craft them. Sylvanas is just a good drop overall, steals your opponent's card, deals 5 damage. She and Shadow Flame clears the whole board. Pretty decent combo. It's resurrected by Nazoth. Then we have Ayaya. And Ayaya Summon something. Summons Greymane, and the Greymane are not just good in even Shaman. They're also good in Druid. Also good in, I don't know, Rogue if you want to play that. Ayaya is pretty good. Summons 2 minions, besides herself, has a death rattle. Clunky, kind of hard to remove. I like her. Now we got the value cards. You probably have Varghulf regardless, right? He's free. I think if you lock in now, he's still free. So you don't need to craft them, obviously, but Varghulf is just lots of value, like in any deck, any class. And Zola is pretty helpful if you want to play any combo deck, or if you just want a second copy of anything. You can even put in something like Shadowwalk Shaman, normal Warlock, like whatever you want to play. You get a copy of a minion. Obviously, you can just substitute her for Youthful Brewmaster and have a 2-mana 3/2 with almost the exact same effect. But she's still pretty good. She's still pretty good. Lots of value. Then we got N'Zoth, who is game winning in itself. Like, imagine you have 5 Death Rattles. They all died. You play N'Zoth, you won the game. Whole board flooded. 10 mana, I don't know, 50-50 in stats. 500 effect happens. 70 Death Rattle score off. All that stuff in one card. Best old god after York got nerfed. Then we have Bran. Battle Cries trigger twice. Doesn't seem too good, but imagine everything you do happens twice. You not just win the game once, you win it twice. You not just deal damage once, you deal it twice. You not just draw a card once, you deal it twice, right? Bran is pretty helpful. Also on League of Explorers, which in short means if you want to buy any adventure, buy League of Explorers. Next Ramus is nice, Thaurissan is also fine, Blackrock Mountain is mediocre, but League of Explorers is the best one by far. And then 2 more cards that you don't really need, but they are kind of helpful. Like, it's the 2-mana 1/1. But with the file, with Mortal Call, with anything that has spell damage, or that deals damage as a spell, this is pretty helpful. And this guy is just, I don't know, he's in 20% of all decks. He is good. Now moving on to the class-specific legendaries that you might want to have. If you play a certain class more than often, or you just have a certain favorite, Druid. Pretty simple. Aviana Kun for combos, or you play, well, Mephirin, because Mephirin is fair. But he's also good. Hero probably becomes deal 3 damage or heal for 3. You win against aggro, win against mage. You want to deal damage? Well, you heal. But if you look at all those 20 cards that you could have, all those 20 legendaries in Druid, and you don't want to play an Avian and Kun combo, it's basically just Mephirin, just the Death Knight. And you will see the Death Knight theme is going to be recurring throughout all those legendaries that are good for each class. Because if you move on to Hunter, it's basically Death Knight, Zul'jin, because they're just lots of value, and Houndmaster Sean, you don't need Shaw. So it's basically just the 2 heroes. That's all you need. Also, Hunter and Wild is not good. Don't play it. Now, for Mage. Mage is, yeah, well, you either play aggressive or you play Quest Mage. Reno Mage doesn't really exist. Yet. Maybe you make it work. So we got Open the Way Gates to play the aggressive version, or the slightly less aggressive version that is still pretty aggressive. You got the Weapon to draw and Luna to draw. I personally don't have Luna, but she would make certain situations way better. And Frost Lich Jaina, because Jaina is a win condition in itself. Imagine playing 1 card, turning the whole game around, being annoying AF, and winning the game. Seems pretty good for Jaina. Now here's the thing for Paladin. You can play Thackle into Molten Giant. You can play Terram on a board of 1/1s if you play, for example, Murloc Paladin, or just mid-range stuff, even stuff, anything aggressive. Or you play Uther for no ATK, but in reality, all you see if you face a Paladin is Odd Paladin, where all those aren't in. So Paladin would be, you need no legendary from Paladin. They would just, no, you don't need those. You play Odd Paladin if you play Paladin to be competitive. For Priest, that's a different story, because Priest is mainly Big Priest. But it's also Dragon Priest, and you never know what you face. Mainly Big Priest. The most consistent card over multiple decks would be Shadow Reaper Andon, like the Death Knight, again. It's just the best card. You can play them Big Priest, not really, but you could play him. You're playing on Dragon Priest, you OTK people, play him in Reno Priest. He's the best of them. Next up, Raza. If you want to play Raza, then obviously in Reno Priest. He makes your hero power cost 1. Pretty decent. Velen is really not needed. Like, I have Velen, I play Velen. Velen doesn't do much. As well as Katrina. Katrina is pretty broken in Big Priest, because she can resummon herself if she dies. Like, if she dies, you play Resurrect, get her back, she resurrects herself. Yeah, I don't play Big Priest, okay? But those are the only ones you need. The other ones are really mediocre. Like, I mean, Camellios. Lol. Now for Rogue, it's pretty simple. You have Kingsman to go face, you have Maris to draw your whole hand, like in Standard, and you have Valera if you want to play more value-oriented decks, like Mill Rogue or, I don't know, Death Rattle Rogue, Big Rogue. Not really, but you could still play her. Valera is not needed, just Kingsman and Maris. All the other cards are fine and funny, like Trade Prince Galawix, but let's be honest here, they don't see any play. You need those three if you want to play Rogue. And then only either one or those two if you want to play the aggressive or the control version in Wild. Now for Shaman, here's the thing. You usually play Shadowhawk, which is where you have Shadowhawk and Grumble. And even though Grumble isn't used in current deck list, he is pretty good. But all you really need is Hagatha to, I don't know, gain control over the board, to play more defensively, to get some value in the late game, and Shadowhawk to get all those meme combos. I mean, those win conditions. Grumble isn't really that needed. You do have Zola, you do have Boxlodge, who steps stuff back into your hand. So basically Shadowhawk is what they need. Maybe Hagatha. I don't have Hagatha. I have Shadowhawk. That's enough. There are so many bad legendaries for Shaman you can't imagine. Then we have Warlock, and I would say for Warlock we have the best 4 cards that you would need. All the other cards are really mediocre. Like, I wouldn't craft them. If I could make the decisions, I would really just craft those 4 legendaries for Warlock. Obviously you go down because you win the game if you play him, because he resurrects the whole board, which is mainly Voidlord and then Meganis, because Meganis makes you immune. Like, you don't take damage. Your minions get buffed. The Voidlord becomes a 5/11. That summons 3/5 taunts 3 times. That's really broken. Skull of the Monari isn't really that needed, but if you want to play cubes, if you want to play any slower deck, and you want to not discard your whole hand playing Doomguards, the weapon is kind of needed. And lastly, Godfrey. Godfrey is just a good card. It's the file and bigger. Like, you play him, board is cleared. And you have a 4/4 body. That doesn't really matter, but the board is cleared. They are pretty good. And for Warrior, and I didn't fully believe that when I looked at all the legendaries myself, but Warrior just sucks hard. Like, every single Warrior legendary is garbage. That might be too harsh, but besides Dr. Boom, and keep in mind this is Wild, not Standard, right? Wild focused. You only play him if you play Deadman's Hand Warrior or a control heavy deck like Odd Warrior. And then you can just play Tempo Warrior, you can play, I don't know, Pirate Warrior if you want to go face. Warrior legendaries are just garbage. Like, you don't need them at all. If you have any Warrior legendary, I don't know, it's dust. Obviously, that's just my opinion. There might be a different deck at some point. But I personally would just disenchant all of them. Besides Boom, because Boom is pretty valuable. And that being said, those are all the legendaries I personally would keep if I have them. And wouldn't disenchant necessarily, but that doesn't mean that if you have other legendaries than those, you should just get rid of them. For example, if you have Malorn and you want to play, I don't know, Death Rattle Mill Druid, for whatever reason, you kind of need Malorn on Heteronox. But you wouldn't need them if you want to play a competitive deck, right? So this is more the competitive side of Wild. Thing is though, most legendaries are really not that needed. Like, keep the following thing in mind. What if the legendary is the very last card of your deck? Would you still win the game with the other 29 cards? Most likely, yes, because you don't rely on that single card. Besides Shadow Reaper and in Priest, right, to OTK the opponent. But usually, you just win regardless. So if you're missing like 1 or 2 legendaries, you don't need to craft them. Find a substitute, find a similar effect, or more draw. And then, should work for you as well. That being said, we didn't collab twice again. Let's do it now.